Hello, gay men. Welcome to Coming Inside Out. I'm your host, Brian Janes, along with,
Mark Dembo.
good to see you.
You too. How are you today, Brian?
I'm good, thank you. Your background looks different.
Yes, very, very astute. Yeah, I am coming to you today from my new apartment. Still in the process of moving in. It's a gradual process over a couple of weeks, but I am here in the start of what will be my new home office and guest room. So I'm very excited about that. It's been certainly an interesting time and yeah, getting acclimated and thinking about, geez, what's it going to be like living on my own for the first time in well over 30 years.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you've certainly been through that because, your journey is a little bit farther ahead than mine.
Yes. Mine, I think, even though you have a lot of changes going on and you have a lot happening in your life creating this, mine was not a pleasant transition. My wife asked for the divorce. We separated. I moved into my place because I had to. It wasn't something I was wanting to do. It wasn't even something I was thinking about doing. So I did it out of need, whereas this is something that you get to do for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And I've talked about that a bit, my experience and the relationship with my wife. But I will say there's one of the things I've learned a lot in this process. There are so many emotions, and
Yes.
it can go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in sometimes a matter of moments. And it's also sometimes feeling it all at once. This process, right, I'm going through right now, I'm really excited about my new place. I really like the place I am. I'm really excited about the fact that this room I'm in right now, I said, not only will be my home office and podcast studio, it'll be the place where my kids can come and stay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a room where they can be here. But there's still a lot of loss at the same time. And just recognizing that those things totally coexist at the same time.
Yes.
It's tough sometimes, and then you feel guilt. It's like, wait, should I be excited about this when there's other people that it's not so easy for? But I come back to the fact that we spent our lives living not as who we are, and if I'm going to be the best version of myself, this is what I need to do.
Yeah. How I look at it is, when my wife and I separated, we were 49 years old. As much as I didn't want it to happen, as much as I wanted to fight for the relationship to stay intact, I thought, we only have one life to live. And if at 49 years old, she's not happy, why should she spend another day of her life? Why, not that she was wasting her life, but why spend time when in a place where you're not happy? And so I was like, oh, even though I don't want this, who am I to stand in the way of another person's happiness? And so it was like, oh, I hated it. And look what it did for me. It allowed me to recognize or come to terms with who I was, gave me the opportunity to come out. So it was very bittersweet for me at the same time.
Yeah. And how have you found it over time? Does that change for you?
No. I saw this very interesting reel on loneliness in the gay community, and how, I don't even know the words that were used, but just like there's so much loneliness in the gay community. And my son is only here for certain times, and then I'm alone with my dog here for certain times. But I fell asleep on the couch one day last week about 9 o'clock. I didn't have the TV on. I was just closing my eyes on the couch. I fell asleep. I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I went upstairs to my bedroom. It was just pitch black. It was dead silence. And I walk upstairs and I'm taking this hoodie that I had on, I'm pulling it off of my head, and the only sound was the sound of this fabric scraping across my body and me getting into bed. And it was, I felt in the moment, I was like, oh my God, I'm so alone. I am so alone. The only sound in my home is the sound of my clothes coming off of my body. I went to bed that night. I wake up the next day and I was like, oh, why did that stick in my head? Why did, I don't know, kind of
The
messes me
sound
up
of
a bit.
silence.
The sound of
And the famous
silence.
words of Simon.
Oh my God. And I was out walking my dog the next day and it just was like a thunderbolt. It occurred to me, I had worked from home that previous day, had my day, fell asleep on the couch. And in walking my dog the next day, I realized I didn't talk to one person the day before.
Yeah.
I'd sent out some emails, whatever, but I didn't actually speak or hear another person's voice the entire day, the day before. And I think that's why it hit me so hard. It's like, oh, it's so much silence around me that
Yeah.
entire day
Yeah.
and night.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's part of the, I guess, adjustment. And how do you, I don't want to say overcome. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think part of it, I've had discussions actually with my therapist, about this, where he said to me, part of this, and I've had other people say this too, is getting okay with being by yourself.
Yes. I'm okay being
Because
by I'm all right with that. I go to
yeah,
dinner by
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I yes. I
yeah,
spend time alone, but I think I
yeah,
spend too much time alone.
yeah, yeah. But it's interesting too, because I've been thinking a lot lately. How do you meet people, right? And there's there's the apps, and we could talk about experiences on various apps, and I've been on them. I'm on the apps. It's interesting, where I'm moving to, which is about 25 minutes from where I was living before, but it's a bigger area, more of a city, closer to New York City. Still kind of in the suburbs, but much closer in. And I fire up Grinder here, and it's like, wow, there's like it's like a whole new world here.
Yeah.
um, and okay, sure, that's fine. Although I will say, I have made some good friends on some of the apps. I mean, sure, there's the hookup culture, but I've actually met people that have become really good friends. But I'm also starting to look at, and this is where I think it's, how do we express ourselves as who we are as gay men? And I've been looking for, what are other activities I can do. I talked last week about going to the
Oh,
gay men's naked
yes.
drawing group, right? And that was last weekend. Brian, it was an incredible experience. There were about 10, I think about 10 of us there at the host's apartment in New York.
Now, was
And
it gay or was it just nudists?
well, it is not, well, it's billed as being open to anybody, gay,
Okay.
straight, bi, curious, because it's not a sexual event. I think everybody that was there, though, was gay. So I think just by default, but it's open to, again, gay, straight, trans, anybody, as long as you identify as a male and are willing to be naked, because that's a requirement. Is everybody is naked, and it just was totally comfortable. It did not feel awkward, and all a variety of ages, body types. It was fun. It was liberating. And coming out of there, as we were leaving, a couple of the other guys that were there, we were walking. I was going back to my car. They were walking to where they were going. We struck up a conversation. A couple of us exchanged numbers, and we're talking about getting together. I was like, what a great way to actually meet people and get to
Yes.
know people and be able to explore. And again, it doesn't always have to be about, oh, I'm gonna, hook up with somebody, but it's about meeting other guys. It was incredible.
All right. Very nice. I have looked into different things. I mean, I'm in Los Angeles, California. You think there would be just like 100 different groups for me to join? I looked for a gay men's golf group.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't find that. I looked for gay
Really?
men's tennis. I couldn't find that. I did
Really?
find softball, which I'd be willing to play softball, but I'm in a suburb outside of LA, and it's like 45 minutes away is where this team meets to practice. But I thought I would do softball or something, some sport, but
Yeah.
they haven't been as easy to find as I
Yeah.
thought they would be.
Yeah. Have you got on like meetup.com?
I did. I did a couple meetups, but just not people that I vibe with. So I have my gay dads group, which
Yep.
is really my gay friends group. I
Yep.
haven't met other gay men outside of that group that I've hung out.
Yeah. I'd put it out to our listeners because I think that is part of the challenge, right? How do you meet people? How do you build community? And I don't know that there's one way to do it. I'd love to hear from some of our listeners at cominginsideout@gmail.com. Write in. Let us know, how are you meeting people? How do you meet
Yeah.
people? How have you met people?
I saw this post and this resonated with me because of where I'm at right now, but it says, is the reason why so many of us are single and lonely today because we are looking for 90s love in a 2025 hookup culture. That's me. I fell in love with my wife in 1990. I mean, and that was the love of my life. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
soulmate, I don't know, but we had this connection like no other. And I want to find a connection with somebody,
Yeah.
but what I'm finding is a hookup culture and not a connection. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I mean, a hookup culture is just not for me.
Yeah.
So what do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think that's true? 90s love and you're looking for 90s love in a 2025 hookup?
Wow. That's a great question. I don't know that I have the answer to that. I think Um, I think it's certainly harder, right? It's a lot easier to say I'm going to go and find a hookup, right? I mean, I could fire up, my phone right now and go on Grinder, go on Sniffies, go on Scruff, and probably find a hookup in 20 minutes if I really wanted to.
All right. What percentage, because I don't do the grinder stuff and sniffies hookups, what percentage of those people that present themselves one way on the app in real life are the person that's on the app? Because what I
Oh,
found when I was
yeah,
doing that was their 10-year-old photos.
yeah,
They're 3 inches shorter. They're 40 pounds
yeah,
heavier.
yeah,
It's like nothing that was presented in the
yeah,
apps
yeah,
showed up in real life. It
yeah,
was like,
yeah. Hey, I think there's certainly, some of that. Listen, honestly, my experience, maybe I've just been really lucky, has not been that way. Although, again, but I approach it if I'm on the apps. I mean, look, I mean, there's something, sometimes the first thing you see, somebody you go on the app and the first communication is a dick pic.
yes.
It's like, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to exchanging photos. But if that's your first interaction, I'm probably like, no. Let's at least have a little bit of a conversation first. And I think that's part of it. If you can get a conversation, you can usually tell, is somebody real or not. Are they catfishing? Are they not even a real profile? Right. Um, so I think there's that, and you have to go in knowing, yeah, I mean, look, that's part of the game. um I don't know, I think if you're looking, it is certainly much harder, right, when you're looking for that relationship. And that's, I'm finding, I'm not going to say you can't find that on the apps, but that's not what they're for. Now, I
Yes.
haven't spent a lot of time on some of the, I say, more traditional dating apps, right? Hinge, Tinder, Facebook has a dating app.
I paid for Match. I
Oh
paid
yeah,
for a couple different ones.
yeah.
Match was one of them, but there was a couple different ones that I paid for, and it was a lot of the same people that you saw on these other apps. Again, I met somebody who actually lived like, I don't know, 2 hours from me. Great pictures, whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to drive up and we're going to hang out and see each other." I'm like, "Don't drive 2 hours to come and see me because nothing's going to happen between us. So don't drive 2 hours thinking that you're going to have this hookup." I said, "You want to go get something to eat? Whatever. I'm happy to hang out, but I'm not bringing you back to my place." This guy drove 2 hours, and literally his photos, when I met him, I had to think for a second, is that him? I thought, why would
Mm,
someone drive 2 hours with just
yeah.
this completely false profile? It was
See,
probably
but
more truth
that's
to his dick pics than his face pics,
maybe.
right?
I don't know.
You're gonna you're
Did you
getting a
ask
lot
him?
more truth.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see. Does that look like that? I
Yes.
gotta see.
You're gonna you're gonna
But
get a lot more truth out of that.
but that's where some of the things you can do in those cases before you meet somebody. Tell them I need to see a picture of you right now. Like pose right now wherever you are. Send me a selfie of you holding up three fingers. No,
That seems like,
seriously,
all right. Well,
seriously.
are you just wouldn't, I don't know, FaceTime them or yeah,
Or face
whatever.
right
I
or say
just
or say before we meet I want to FaceTime and
yeah.
I want to make sure that you're who you say you are. Yeah.
And when I was going through the dating apps, if somebody had a photo of themselves, if you're 50 years old and you have a photo of your college football picture,
Right.
I don't give a shit what you look like
Yeah.
30 years ago. It's like,
Right.
what do you
Right.
look like today?
Like
Who
what do you look
cares
like
what you
now?
look?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So it's like when
Exactly.
somebody's posting
Yeah.
photos of themselves from 20, 30
Yeah.
years ago, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, and you know what I think about too, as I kind of enter into right this stage, and I think this is so true for so many of us. I think back and like I never really had a dating life, if you will, in the
Me either.
traditional sense that a lot of other people did. I'll say, straight people, because even though I was so hiding and suppressing who I was when I was in high school and college, my dating was like, oh, I met somebody that I clicked with. So I'd date somebody. But if I wasn't, and it was more so when your family said, so, do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm dating so and so. And then I met my wife, and there was this instant connection, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, and so much has changed in 30 plus years in terms of how people meet and how people date. But I've also never actually, like, how do you know if it's the right fit for you? How do
No,
you, if you meet somebody, is it, I don't know.
I met my wife in high school. So I never really dated either. Met my wife, we had a great connection. We didn't start dating until after high school, but I
Yeah.
mean, I knew her. She
Yeah.
was my friend first. I there when you're on these apps, you'll communicate with somebody and sometimes these people come on very strong,
Oh, yeah.
very quickly, and you're like, "Oh my goodness." It's like take a step back.
Yeah. Right.
We haven't even had a phone conversation and you're like talking about stuff that people talk about after dating for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, and you're texting somebody this in the first
Right.
45 minutes of meeting them. So it's like, that's a total turn off to me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
take things slow, let things
Yeah.
progress
Yeah.
organically. But,
Yeah.
some of our listeners write in and we don't live in rural areas. They live in rural
Yeah.
areas. It's like we're
Yeah.
complaining about dating, or I am,
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, California.
Right. I'm in
I
New York
can't
City. It's
imagine
right.
what these
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are dealing with
Yeah.
in rural
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah. Although, and again, I'd love to hear, from others that have different experiences. Yeah, what is it like depending on where you are and how are you meeting people? That is the challenge, right?
All right. Well, I'm only going to speak for the group of men that I'm familiar with. But a lot of these men were in marriages for 20, 30 years. Their marriages end. They're not looking for relationships. They want to have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
They just want to have fun. So the apps work perfect for them because
Hmm.
they have been in a relationship the majority of their life, and they're just like, I don't want to be tied down. I want to
Sure.
date as many people. I want to have as much fun. I'm a relationship oriented person. I feel like I thrive. I do better in a relationship.
Hmm.
I've only
Hmm.
had one relationship, but it lasted 30 years.
Hmm.
And since that relationship ended, I don't feel like I've been thriving. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great things happen to me, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I do
Well, what does that
better in a
relate?
relationship.
Then the question is, well, what does that mean though for you? Is that about a romantic relationship, or is it about having, friendships, connections where you can feel a kinship with somebody?
I think it's everything. It's the intimacy, it's the touch. I talked about this in a previous episode. I think it's your body vibrating off of another
Hmm.
person's
Hmm.
body.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it's an energy that fills a
Yeah.
room. So I have great friends and I talk to them and I see them, but it's different than a relationship,
Yeah. Yeah.
at least for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, we're fortunate because we can have this. Some of the people that write into the show, they're closeted, so they're still with their wives, or maybe their wives know, or they've come out to their wives, but they're still living together because they don't have anywhere to go, or they feel stuck, or I mean,
Well, and as we've talked about, everybody's situation is unique, and people have to make the right decisions for themselves. Um, I know when I think about my own experience and my own journey, when I first came out to myself and admitted I was gay, and I don't even like to say admitted I was gay, because when I first embraced that I was gay, I think that's a better way to think about it, right? Because admitted sounds like, you know what,
yeah,
I'm out and proud.
yes,
So when I embraced and allowed myself to embrace who I am, um, I had a period, you'll call it your gay adolescence, right? Once I was out, and I knew at that point I was not, and again, this was for me, I was not going to live a secret life.
yes,
I didn't want to do that to my wife and the people I cared about. I wasn't going to do it to myself, because I also started to realize, and once I did come out and we went down a path of, okay, let's open up the marriage. You know what? I had a time of, again, I'll call it my gay adolescence. It was about, I want to make up for lost time,
yeah,
and get out there and be with men and experience what I hadn't. But it also pretty quickly became clear to me that I want more than that. I
yes.
do
And
want, and
45 minutes of whatever,
yeah,
and that's it.
yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie, you know, yeah, that can be fun. It can be fun. Um, I en- I enjoy sex, so I'm not gonna say that I don't want that, but I want more than that. And that is where I realized, wait a minute, I can't live my life fully as who I am if that's all there is.
Yes,
Um, and for me, again, speaking to my own experience, I don't know what that will look like in the future. Will it be to, what kind of relationship it will be? But what I do know is I want that opportunity to be able to pursue that, to experience that.
yes, I totally get that.
Yeah.
For myself, and I shared this before, I had to heal who I was, and I had
Hmm.
to find out who I
Yeah.
was. I was somebody
Yeah.
else for 40 some years. I can't just say, "Oh, I'm this person" instead, and just go running with
Yeah.
that. I was like, "Okay, if this is who I am, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Because I don't know this person. We haven't met.
So
So it's like,
how are you different now? What's the Brian of today
oh,
versus
well,
the
I had to
Brian
go through a
before?
lot of therapy to figure out who I was and what I liked because I had conditioned myself for 40 years to being somebody else. I think in one of our first episodes, we talked about when you recognize when you started either getting pushed into the closet, crawling into the closet, however you made your way into the closet. But I think I've shared this before. I feel things so deeply. Um, I don't have room in my life for superficial, and I'm still discovering who I am. I mean, every day
Yeah.
I'm coming to terms with things are just, I think for me, they continue to unravel.
I think it makes complete sense. It is. It's an ongoing discovery. It's not, and we talked about this in a previous episode. Was it? I think in last week's episode, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. But we talked about the idea that you're always coming out, right? I mean, even as I'm publicly out, you're still coming out. You meet new people. We're still always discovering ourselves.
So yes, we talked about this, and I'm going to share something with you that I just saw the other day, and it was a post I saw about Ricky Martin. And as soon as I saw the Ricky Martin post, I thought, you know what? You and I and our community talk about you're always coming out. It's something that's going to happen to you in different situations, different circumstances. This is one thing a celebrity has that we don't have. You come out as gay as a celebrity, and you don't have the rest of your life where you're constantly coming out or choosing when to or when not to. It's like you are out. That's kind of a
But Brian,
freedom that they
Brian,
have.
we're the stars of the Coming Inside Out podcast. What do you mean we're not celebrities? Come on.
But they announce one time that they're gay and the world
Yeah. Well, of course,
knows.
right,
And it's
right.
like it's like all that work is taken away from them.
And
Whereas it's
that could
something,
be good or bad, maybe.
yeah, well, I mean, if it's on their terms, I think it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's not on
yeah.
their
If it's on
terms. I
their
mean,
terms, absolutely right.
people write into the show that they're outed. Their
Yeah,
spouse
yes,
finds out that
yeah.
they
Oh yeah.
were closeted, and then they get outed to their friends, they get outed to their
Mhm.
kids, to their church.
Yeah.
So you and I are blessed in that we got to choose our terms under
Yes.
which we were coming.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets
That's
that.
no, that is very true. And that's unfortunate for so many people when that kind of thing happens, and it makes it all the more difficult because then you're
Yeah.
forced into a choice that maybe you weren't ready to make yet. Yeah.
Yes. And it's your story. It's not somebody else's
Right.
story. That's
Yeah.
like somebody blabbing about another person being
Right.
sexually assaulted or taking
Right.
that, away from them. It's like somebody
Right.
is stealing
Yes.
that from you
Yeah.
out of anger,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
think about it like that, even though the person that you're coming out to may be obviously angry or upset or betrayed, they should know it's not their story to tell.
Yes, and I can understand when that doesn't happen because people act out of emotion. But to that point, uh, I have to. I remember when I came out and shared with my wife. I remember saying to her, "Is there anybody you want to tell?" And she said to me, she said, "It's not my story to tell." She said, "I promise you, I will not, without your consent, share with anybody." And
That's
she,
so respectful.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
yes.
she absolutely recognized that.
That's
Yeah,
being
and but
emotionally
not, but I,
intelligent.
yeah, yeah, but I recognize again that not everybody, has that experience, and that's very difficult. Yeah,
So, how are you? Well, you're just starting the process of adjusting to your new life
yeah,
because, as we said at the beginning of the episode, you're just now in your new place and you're not even
yeah,
fully moved in. So you are in the process of
hmm
adjusting to an entirely new life.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Good
So
for
our
you.
listeners
Did
will
you?
get to watch
Yeah.
me and hear me as I go through this process.
Did you ever think that you would be sitting there in your own apartment
No,
at this stage of your life as an out gay male advocate for the LGBTQ community?
never in a million years. I mean, if you had asked me this 2 years ago, like, no. And just before we started recording, I had one of my daughters came over to see my place, and we sat in the living room on my new couch for a little bit and watched my new big screen TV for a little bit. Um, and it was weird, but it also felt really good. And showed her this room here, which still a lot of things to do. And I was like, hey, I want your help to decorate in here, because this is where you'll stay when you come over. And just to think about all of that, yeah, I never could have imagined it just a short
How
time.
long did you live in your other house with your family?
In that house, we were in that house for almost 20 years, 19 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah,
So for your
it's
kids,
basically
this like
the house where my kids grew up. I mean, we moved into that house when my oldest was 6 and our youngest was 3.
big changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Something I wrote down: the pain of living in the closet and the pain of coming out. Those maybe what some people don't realize, or maybe what they are realizing now, is we live a life in the closet that has a lot of pain, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt attached to it. When you come out, you may shed the pain of living in the closet, but there's a lot of new pain
Yeah,
of
yeah.
living your new life outside of the closet.
Hmm.
So, and I read something that said, when something happens in your life, it doesn't always have to be painful. Growth doesn't have to be painful. Sometimes growth is like blissful, it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be filled with pain.
yeah.
But for me, and again, I'm only speaking for myself when I say this, and it may be my mindset, but I had the pain of the closet, and then I had the pain associated with coming out of the
Hmm.
closet. I think a
Hmm.
lot of the listeners, we had someone write into us the other day. He asked us not to share his email on the show, but he came out and his life just was filled with pain. So
Yeah.
I think we need to speak to that. And, you and I actually spoke to one of the listeners a couple of weeks ago
Hmm. Hmm.
that is in a tremendous amount of pain. And
Yeah.
he's been out for about 2 years also.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
like, oh, these people are not alone. This is
Yeah.
something that,
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
lot of us are experiencing.
Yeah. I guess I could get really philosophical here, on this. In life, there is pain. In life, there is suffering. Those are the words of the Buddha. It's about what we attach to it. Again, I get really philosophical here. But in many ways, I don't know. Is it you're trading one pain for another? Um, it's the when you're living in the closet. I think it's the internal pain, right? It's what you're denying yourself. When you come out, in many ways, it can feel like the pain we are inflicting on others because of our coming out and the impact of our coming out on others in our lives. And I think this is a big part of the reason why, look, it can be hard for anybody coming out at any stage in their life. And while it's easier for younger people coming out today than it was when we were in our teens or early 20s, when a lot of people come out, it can still be really difficult. But here we are, 20, 25, 30 years into our lives, with families, with kids. I don't mean to say our pain is greater, but there can be more impact on other people. And I know for myself, I think that is a lot of the pain that has come through this process is the knowing that it's causing other people pain and the guilt that comes along with that. I have really come to believe too that sometimes the only way from where we are now to where we are on the other side, if there's ever an other side, right? It's always ongoing, but is through. It's going to be hard.
And there's, in all of this, you have the option to grow. Some people experience pain and loss,
Yeah.
and they become angry, they become
Yeah.
shut down, they utilize drugs to cope.
Yep.
And on the other side of that, there's people that sit in the pain and are like, oh my goodness, what can I learn from this? How can I make me a better person?
Yeah.
What can I do to heal from this? And they take a soulful journey out.
Yeah.
That soulful journey, for some of us, is a very long journey. I don't know why it is so long, but you know, I'm night and day from who I was because I've learned so much about myself. I've taken the time to sit in my pain, to learn from it. So, you know, yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And, you know, for all the pain that I've had on my journey, that I definitely feel, I know that I am a better person. And I don't want to say despite the pain. I think you learn a lot about yourself. And sure, it would be great if we didn't have to go through that. But is there, I mean, sure, there's always another choice. There's always another choice, and you can continue to live as you've lived. That carries with it a whole other area of pain, denial. But
Which is what we were living before.
Right.
That's what we were living before.
But I know, but right, I'm a better person. I can have a better relationship with my kids, with friends, with people around me, even with my wife, because I'm true to who I am.
My ex and I do not speak about my sexuality, and that may be on me. It may be that I'm avoiding it. It may be that we're both avoiding it. I don't know, but we don't have conversations about it. We were divorced before I came out.
So did you divorce because of your sexuality, or was it from other?
No, we divorced because my wife outgrew me. She was a much better person than I was.
So, but do you think on some level, though, you say she outgrew you, and I know it's like, but did she outgrow you because you were not being your true, authentic, whole self
100%.
in the marriage?
I couldn't have been.
So,
yes.
Right, you couldn't be. Right. So therefore that manifested itself in other ways.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, I was not willing. I could only grow to a certain level in my suppression.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Couldn't grow beyond that.
You hit a wall, because then it's like, if you're going to really get to the point of who you really are, well, that wall's got to come down.
Yeah. And that is kind of what started happening is, you know, we had started going down a more spiritual journey in our relationship, and feelings started coming up for me. And I started, you know, just really recognizing at age 47, holy shit, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I can't contain it anymore. It's going to start seeping out of me somehow.
Yeah.
And it started seeping out in my car, me screaming, you know, as I'm driving to work, I'm fucking gay. I'm fucking gay. I mean, it was like I had to release it. And
Yeah.
I think that was, I mean, you're a spiritual person. It just created a universal shift inside of me.
Right.
And that universal shift also created a shift in our marriage.
Yeah.
And at that point, we just kind of started drifting apart, and she continued on her spiritual journey. And I kind of became stagnant because I
Hmm.
couldn't move beyond it.
Right. Well, what do you got fun coming up?
Tomorrow, I'm going to a Gay Fathers of Los Angeles potluck,
Oh,
which
fun.
is
Okay.
nice. It's going to be at one of our gay dads' houses in LA. There's going to be, I think, 18 people signed up to go.
Nice. That's
But
great.
the weather's so beautiful here right now, and it's going to be in the afternoon. So I'm looking forward to that. I know that in Gay Fathers Worldwide, they recently posted that the next trip to Saugatuck is coming up, or
Yeah,
they're
in
going to getting
September.
ready to put the dates down
No, I
for
think they did.
that.
I think it's second week of September. I think is
Okay.
I don't remember the exact dates offhand, but they did put those dates out.
All right. And I
Yeah.
wanted to go, I just had discovered last year that there's something called a gay rodeo, and
Okay.
it travels the country. And I believe in May it's in Palm Springs, California. So
Oh,
I
so
would
nearby
love to
for
get
you.
down to
Yeah.
Palm Springs
Yeah.
and go see the gay rodeo.
Cool. Yeah. That's
How
great. Awesome.
about you?
Well, my focus the next few weeks is getting moved in and getting settled. And then as soon as I am completely moved in, I'll be actually heading out to LA shortly after that for actually a family event, but I'll be meeting up with some of the gay dads in LA, and you're on that list, I know. So
Yes,
looking forward to
absolutely.
seeing a lot of the guys out there. Yeah, so for me, it's really about getting through these next few weeks, getting settled, and continuing this journey. Yeah, and again, we love to hear from our listeners with ideas, comments on any things that we've been talking about. You can reach us at cominginsideout@gmail.com. And we do appreciate all the great feedback and those who are writing in. Keep it coming. We want to make this
Yeah.
for you.
And real quick before we go, we did have a couple people write in, and I don't know if it's real or if it was just joke emails or whatever, but someone had asked about cross dressing. I know nothing about cross dressing. If somebody wants to write in and tell us about cross dressing, and then someone else asked about toys. I don't
Oh,
have any toys. I don't use toys.
that could
So
be
if
a fun
somebody
topic.
wants to write in and tell us about toys, they can do that also.
We could have some fun
All
with
right.
that.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. All right.
All
See
right.
you soon. All
See
right.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye.